Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole from Nicole's Scrapbooks, and I'm here to share another album flip through with you. And once again, this is a multi-volume album. This happens to be a trip that my husband and I and our daughter took to Italy a few years ago. It's one of my favorites, probably because Italy is just so beautiful. It was a trip of a lifetime. I did want to show you that the album that I used for this project was from Old CM, and it was called Cream Mica. I don't know if you can see that there's a little bit of a sparkle in this. And when Creative Memories first came out with the custom spines for the albums, these are the first spines that I did. And I don't love them. First of all, my albums are too fat. I know that they're too fat, but I did 4 albums of one trip, and I just had to, squeeze in as much as I could. But I used this kind of cursive-y font, and since then I've done all our vacation albums with a more blocky font. And so I'm at some point probably going to redo these. Creative Memories does only do the custom spines for current album colors, so I don't know that there'll ever be anything that matches this one exactly. So I haven't really decided what I'm going to do. But for right now, when the album is on the shelf, my husband loves being able to see which album is which. And when I've got it open, I can't tell the difference in the contrast. I don't think it looks bad. I think if I had used a different font, I would like it better, and I'd be okay with the black and gold. But someday I think I am going to switch this out for, something that matches a little bit better with a different font. All right, so here we go. This is a 4-volume album. I'm going to try and do 2 albums today, and then I'll do the other 2 in a day or 2, so you don't get too overwhelmed with, looking at my Italy pictures. All right, so here we go. This is our title page, and I will say that this is one of my favorite title pages I've ever done. I cut the Italy map on my silhouette, and I traced our route with little brads. I don't use a lot of brads in my scrapbooks. I'm not really a lumpy, bumpy scrapbooker. But for this, I used little brads for each of the cities that we went to. So you see, we started from our home in Alabama, went to Rome, and then these are all the places that we visited. Hadrian's Villa, Siena, Volterra, San Gimignano, Firenze, Pisa, Milano, Torino, and then back home. And that was just a fun way to do it and to kind of track our whole trip. And I just absolutely love the way this turned out. A lot of the paper in here is not from Creative Memories. We took the trip in 2014, which is right kind of in the middle of what I personally refer to as the dark years with CM, when the company was going through several issues, and I was buying a lot of my scrapbooking stuff elsewhere. And so I used a lot of that non-CM stuff in this album, which probably means I'm not going to necessarily be able to tell you where I got products or what brand they are. So you'll just have to enjoy the mystery products here in this Italy album. All right, so I had seen this page. I think this was a Pinterest page idea, and this globe, I think, was from the Silhouette online store. I just thought it was fantastic. A perfect travel page. It had some little dimensional stickers from Hobby Lobby. My husband, bless his little heart, I don't know how he managed to do it, but the TSA agent gave him a Junior Ranger sticker when we were going through security, and he wore it all the way to Italy on his shirt, his little Junior Ranger sticker. And I had to keep it because that's just the kind of person that he is. So on this trip is me, my husband, and our daughter, Katie. And she had just graduated from college, and we were going back to Italy. She had served as a missionary for our church for 18 months and had been home a year, came home a year previously, finished college. And so for her college graduation celebration, we took her to Italy. All right. It's a long flight from Huntsville to Italy. We left at 5 in the afternoon, got there about 7 in the morning, and we had to catch a train and a bus to get out to our hotel. I had not necessarily had accurate ideas about budget, And so I'd given her some hotel guidelines, and she was able to find us hotels that met the budget, but it meant that they were not necessarily in a centralized location. So we spent a lot of time on public transportation in Italy, and thankfully she does speak fluent Italian and could navigate that for us. So it gave us a little bit maybe more of an authentic Italian experience versus a touristy experience. So our little hotel was out here on the outskirts of Rome. To get anywhere, we had to ride the bus, and we had to cross over this little pedestrian bridge. And this thing, I tell you guys, was nasty. I don't know what kind of people were hanging out there. We saw some really unpleasant things. And I'm a scrapbooker, and I took pictures of them. And so I did save them. I made a little pocket here for some pictures of some of the not great things that we saw on this bridge. You don't want to see it. But I said we had to cross this bridge to get to the bus stop from the hotel. Apparently it's the hangout of a prostitute, and we saw some really gross evidence of that. And my husband nicknamed it the Bridge of Iniquity. So right here on this pocket, I wrote, if you want to see the really gross photos that are in this pocket and really, really gross. And I'm not going to pull them out for you. They're really gross. I probably shouldn't have taken the pictures, and I probably shouldn't have saved them. But sometimes, you know, it's like a train wreck, and you just have to look. Okay, so our first stop was Rome, and we did this Rome Pass thing that was going to give us free transportation and admission to several museums, and they gave us this great map. So I did kind of the same thing that I did with my title page, and it's hard to tell, I think, on the video, but all the different things that we visited I marked with little arrows. There's the Vatican over here, the Colosseum, the Spanish Steps, kind of some of those famous things. So there are no pictures on this page. This is the little envelope from our Rome Pass and some journaling, and then just here we go with Rome. These are the things we did. Day one, we went to the Roman Forum. I love all things old. I am obsessed with Roman ruins from when we lived in Germany, and we were able to visit some Roman ruins up in Europe, in that part of Europe. And so this is the first place we wanted to go. My daughter made us not take a nap. So we went to our hotel, dropped off our bags, and then rode back into town. And this was in May in Italy, and it was hot. We were not expecting it to be hot. I was not expecting the Roman Forum, which we did have to pay admission to. They didn't have any food. What kind of tourist attraction doesn't have a snack bar? But they didn't. So we were hot, we were tired, a little bit grumpy. It was not necessarily the joyous experience that I would like it to be, and someday I would like to go back. But I took lots of fun pictures and just did very simple, kind of blocky layouts. I didn't want to crop too much because, I mean, the whole point of these pictures is the scenery. Although I did take some pictures of my husband tormenting one of the poor little pigeons that was here. I used a multi-pocket page for just some others that I didn't have anything to journal about, didn't have anything creative to say. And because you can fit, 5 whole pictures easily in these pockets. And I do like to cut a slit in the empty space and put a strip of cardstock in to kind of hide that. Otherwise, this sees through to the next page, and that's not my preference. So I did use a multi-pocket page that's a little bit MacGyvered to fit more what I want. All right, and here just some more pictures of the Roman Forum. Just super simple, color block, not a lot of embellishment. I just felt like the pictures were the main thing I wanted to show. And I didn't journal a lot on these because, this is the Roman Forum. And this is the Roman Forum. I did take some pictures of the signs, put a couple things in there. Looking at this now, a couple years later, maybe I probably should go back and do a little bit more journaling because it's a little sparse. Even for me. Thankfully, they did have little drinking water fountains all over, so we didn't die of thirst when we were starving up there at the Roman Forum. And I learned that I need to carry some cereal bars or something when I travel with my daughter, who is much younger and thinner than I am. So here's a little bit of journaling about Palatine Hill. But I figure if people want to learn about Rome, they might need to use a guidebook and not me. Although really, as I am showing you this, I'm feeling guilty that I didn't do more journaling. So I may have to repent and go back and redo stuff. So we were exhausted. It was hot. We'd been up all night on a plane. I mean, you sleep on a plane, but not really. So both my daughter and my husband fell asleep and took naps, but I knew if I fell asleep, I was not waking back up again. So I powered through. So our guidebook had said, don't engage with the little guys dressed as Roman centurions outside the Colosseum. I'm a scrapbooker. I really wanted to. And so we saw this guy, and he wanted I think €5, and my husband's like, how about €2? And he's like, no, I'll be worth €5. And he was so funny. He just was flirtatious. And, you know, Katie, my daughter Katie is quite tall, was taller than he is. I wrote here in the journaling, do you like short men? Do you have a boyfriend? He was very, very entertaining. Well worth the €5 that we gave him to pose for some pictures with us. And he had like the little Roman robe things that we put on. And yeah, I did touch his leg. It was a little gross right there, but oh well, it's all for the sake of the scrapbook. So here we go, the Colosseum. One of the hard things about visiting historic sites is that they always seem to be under renovation when we go. So lots of pictures of scaffolding in my books. This was funny. It's a Roman centurion talking on a cell phone. Hadn't really expected that particular incongruity. And then the Colosseum, kind of one of those bucket list things for everybody. I did buy the print without the scaffolding from the gift shop, a couple postcards. I love this one because it shows you what it would have looked like when it was complete. And of course, now it's a ruin. So you can flip this little card up and see what it looks like now, but then it shows what it looked like before. And so I just adhered this. So this part is on the page tucked under the page protector, and then this little piece is just on top. And so again, super simple layouts. I just did a little bit of a border and let the pictures, you know, be the focus. It was awesome. The Roman Colosseum was everything I had hoped it would be, everything my little Roman ruin loving heart had wanted to see. You know, we only had a couple of days in Rome. We packed a lot into our 2 weeks. 2 weeks sounds like a lot, but it's really not. My husband loves to take panoramas on his iPhone. So this is a panorama. What I like to do with these is to import them into digital scrapbooking software. And I can usually get three 3x12 panoramas on one 12x12 digital scrapbook page. And so then I can print those and cut them out and put them on my layout. So you'll probably see more of those panoramas in this because he takes a lot of them and they're cool. So there's a lot of steps in Italy, and a lot of these old ruins, the only way to get places to go up steps. I was not physically prepared for some of the steps we had to walk up, and I was thankful for some of the places where the steps were so steep that even modern day Romans feel like they're not safe for people. But oh, there were a lot of steps. And just more pictures of Colosseum. This is just a naked page. I didn't feel like it needed anything else. I just wanted to show, you know, the Colosseum. How, you know, 2,500 years old. Pretty astounding. Years ago, my husband used to tell a joke, kind of not even a joke, but, you know, a Roman soldier walks into a bar and tells the bartender, I'll have 5 beers, please. And of course, V is 5 in Roman numerals. And so this was became our joke all the time we're in Italy. We called it a Roman high 5 because it was a V, Roman high 5. So you may see that particular little V. It doesn't mean victory or anything like that. It's a Roman high 5. Just more pictures of parts of the Colosseum. And then it was cool while we were there, they were lifting something in the renovation. And I got these pictures of this giant crane lifting up over the side, going down into the Colosseum. And as we were walking out, we saw the base of this monster that can support a crane that goes up, 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 and over into the Colosseum. And then this is our last page from the Colosseum. This little cross that's embedded in the wall says that kissing the Holy Cross, you acquire a year and 40 days of indulgences. So I don't know if indulgences are still a thing, but you know, better safe than sorry. So this was the end of our first day. Finally, we were able to go back to our hotel and sleep, which was so much appreciated after our super long day of being on a plane all night and touring the Roman Forum. So the next morning, day 2, we rode back into town after, you know, eating breakfast at the hotel. And we did make a quick stop for gelato, but that's going to be a few pages down. And we went to the Vatican. In order to go in and like see the Sistine Chapel, you have to either order your tickets in advance, which we neglected to do, or get there really early and stand in line, which we also neglected to do. And since we only had basically a day and a half in Rome, we missed the Sistine Chapel this time, which I'm still kind of sad about. But we did walk around kind of in the outside part of the Vatican. This is just some background paper that has a little embellishment on it already. I didn't do anything. I just put that down kind of as wallpaper, put my pictures down. Here's another one of those panoramas that my husband likes to take. That was probably on that same 12 by 12 sheet that I probably printed at Costco. This particular layout is one that I use a lot. I love the geometricity of just the 4 pictures with a square in the middle. Anytime I have 2 horizontal and 2 vertical that can work together, I often find myself using this particular just basic layout, and you'll probably see a lot in this album. Another thing that I did with this album that I've done before is I picked one font and I used it all the way through the whole album, just for continuity and frankly for ease of getting my album finished. I usually do my albums, I do all the layouts, everything first, and then I go back and put the titles. And sometimes I spend far too much time trying to find the perfect font. And so just by choosing one font that I thought, okay, this will work for my whole album, it just saves so much time to pick one font and just go with it the whole time, which is what I did for years when I didn't have a silhouette and I was using sticker letters, right? So sometimes I like the variety of fonts, but for this kind of a project, picking one font really is a time saver. And I changed the size and I changed the color, so I still feel like I get some variety, but it just made my life so much easier. So this is our little trip to the Vatican. Oops, I turned 2 pages. We walked down to the Ponte Sant'Angelo, which is a bridge. My daughter was just posing on the bridge, being silly. I loved all these pictures of her, and so I just kind of put them in a progression. Happened to walk by this monument to St. Catherine of Siena. My daughter's name is Catherine. She has she did a semester abroad in Siena. She served part of her mission in Siena. So, you know, all those things make St. Catherine a little special. And we put that Catherine with our Catherine, although we call this one Katie. And then these Bernini statues that line the Ponte Sant'Angelo. It's just so cool to have these beautiful, like, statues, hand-carved marble statues, just out in nature. You know, the birds loved it. I always felt bad for these poor little statues with birds on their heads. You know, these works of art that are just out there in public for everyone to see and have been for, you know, centuries. So then we kind of continued walking through Rome, went to the Piazza Navona, which has a big fountain that's got some more Bernini statues. But we kind of walked by this little place where they have found this old Roman stadium buried under the ground. You know, all of Rome is built on old Rome. And so kind of everywhere they find ruins of things under the ground and constantly are kind of digging up under apartment buildings and whatever. And it was just very cool to just be walking down a normal public street. And, oh, by the way, here's this, you know, 3,000-year-old Roman ruin. Actually, I don't think the Roman ruins go back quite that far, but you know what I mean. 2,000, 2,500, they're really old. For both of these pages, I used this Border Maker cartridge. This is from Old CM. I think it was called the Diamond Chain. I think it was like an exclusive one that they had in their I can't remember what it's called. There was some little membership club that Old CM did. And so this is one that's hard to find, a very popular one. Maybe we'll see something similar to it again, but I like the way this one worked. I like the way I could just kind of overlap them in the corner. Gives a little bit of interest, but just super simple, and it ties these two pages together, right? So you know we're still in Piazza Navona. I don't have another title, but this is this Bernini statue, or this fountain with the Bernini statues. And more birds, you know, this is a little bird sitting right kind of in an inappropriate spot. And, you know, you got to do what you got to do if you're a bird in Rome, I guess, a pigeon in Rome. And then it's really cool that you just kind of randomly come across Roman things when you're walking. Like you'll just be in near apartment buildings or office buildings, and oh look, here's a big Roman monument. Oh look, here's a building built by Emperor Hadrian that is now like the bank. And I just thought that was really cool to just kind of see this stuff randomly popping up in the mix of old and new in Rome. And now gelato. You know, when in Rome, you got to eat some gelato. And I think we ate gelato at least once every single day. This day in Rome, we ate gelato at least twice. We had it first thing in the morning. It was, you know, we did eat breakfast at our hotel and went to the Vatican. And then, oh no, this is before we went to the Vatican. We got the gelato and then we went to the Vatican. And then we went and got some more gelato because, you know, we walked a lot. We earned that. So here's some just random shopping pictures that we took. The giant lint bunny. My husband loved this little apron that has the David, and it says I Heart Spaghetti, and it's like the regular David and then a slightly pudgy David and then the pretty pudgy David. We didn't buy it for him. We totally should have bought it for him, and we've regretted it ever since. And then, of course, just genitalia. You know, a lot of these statues are of naked men, and, you know, you get pasta shapes, you get boxer shorts. We didn't buy any of those either, but I thought it was really funny. So just kind of some random shopping pictures. This background paper was from a paper pad. I don't know what company. And I just took the one paper and I cut it in half, and, you know, it gave me another little picture of the Colosseum, make a little Italian flavor, but wasn't anything, you know, too difficult or creative. But I think the page looks nice, even with just a simple layout. Here's that kind of four square, thing again, with just some other interesting things that we saw in Rome. And then I wrote about the water fountains. That was one of the best things about being in Italy, were all these public water fountains, just kind of wherever you go, these street fountains that have clean, good drinking water. And we would refill our bottles, or we'd just drink out of our cupped hands in front of the fountain. And we really loved the water fountains in Italy. All right, the Pantheon was great. You know, this is one of those famous gotta visit places when you're in Italy. And so I just took pictures, you know, from the outside, the inside. I think it has two different eras. So they're different architectural styles, which is just cool. I mean, and my daughter knew all that stuff because she had done her semester abroad, and she remembers stuff obviously way better than I do. So she talked to us about the Pantheon, and when you walk in, there's a big sign that says, you know, please be quiet in here. And of course, nobody's quiet. Tourists are always talking. But the Pantheon has been, I wrote in my journaling, has been in continuous use since it was built around 29 to 19 BC. So for 2,000 years, people have been using this building, and Pantheon means all the gods. So all religions can be here, and also has the burial site of the painter Raphael, which is kind of cool. This famous little church. I don't know if they use it as a church or if it's just, you know, open for people, the Pantheon. The cool thing, oh, I forgot that part. There's a hole in the ceiling. This is open to the air. And so when it rains, the water comes in. And so there are little drain holes in the ground to drain the water out. So I don't know if maybe if you don't stand right under the hole when it's raining, you don't get wet. But here's the thing about it being a sacred place, please be quiet. And I wrote, every few minutes, the recording would ask for silence, and pretty much everybody ignored the request. it was kind of sad. So, and then Umberto, who was a emperor maybe of Rome, I probably ought to write that part down too in my journaling. So this is really good for me to show you guys these albums because it points out to me the things I wish that I had written down when I did my journaling. So this was just a little random church that we saw. I think we're using that free map from the Roma Pass, and it told us about this church. And so we walked into this little church that wasn't in any of our guidebooks that we had been studying, but was beautiful. It was just, you know, simple on the outside. Well, simple for Rome on the outside, but just absolutely beautiful on the inside. It's just amazing the art and stuff that are in some of these churches. So this one is a wooden sculpture, and there's little models of different temple or church buildings, cathedrals or whatever, all around the world. So that was fun, and just beautiful altar pieces and paintings. And the cool thing here is that they never built the dome. They never finished the dome. So this is a painting, a trompe-l'oeil painting, which means fool the eye, like a realistic painting. So depending on where you stand, it looks like there's a dome, but there's not a dome. They were actually just starting their evening mass, and we got to, we are not Catholic, and it was very interesting to hear these two little girls leading the members in the Lord's Prayer and the Hail Mary in Italian or Latin, which is really cool because I am familiar with those in English, but to hear it in Latin in Italy was really awesome. This was a fun experience. Well, I guess here, I'll go back to this. Piazza di Marcello. We have a cat named Marcello, and so we liked that we saw some stuff. And then I have a friend whose last name is Lucchesi, and so I took a picture of her, thought of her, and gave her a Roman high five in our picture for that we could show it to her later. We're walking down a random street in Rome, looking for a bathroom or a place to eat, a McDonald's, whatever, and we hear a voice calling out my daughter's name. And so she turned around, and turns out it was a guy that she knew from when she had been a missionary who was working at this opera. And we just happened to walk right past him as he was standing out looking for tourists walking by, and he recognized her. And we thought that was just pretty amazing that in this city of, you know, thousands and thousands of people, that she would run into one of the 5 people that she knows that lives in Rome. And so we took a picture with him, and that was fun. And then we ended up at this place called the Victor Emmanuel Monument that my daughter said when they were there on their semester abroad, the professor told them that, like, the local people call it the wedding cake. I don't know the story of why they call it the wedding cake. But so that's kind of what this title means. We saw some traffic going around a roundabout, and everything you've heard about Italian drivers is true. And I was really scared and glad that we mostly did public transportation while we were in Rome. And again, we were still looking for a bathroom, and we ended up at this Museum of the Imperial Forums because it was part of our Roma Pass, so we could get in for free. And surely a museum has to have a bathroom. You know, they have all those free water fountains in Italy, but no free bathrooms that we found. And so we went in here mostly because we wanted to use the bathroom. It was kind of an interesting place. And it turned out to be one of my very, very favorite places in Rome that we visited. Not something that had been on our list of things to do, just kind of randomly ended up there, full of all these cool Roman ruins. And then you go out the top of the back, and it takes you to Trajan's Market, which, again, Roman ruins galore. Just such a cool, like a little old outdoor shopping mall from Roman times. And there's tons of cats, like, that just roam around in there. And we thought that was really fun to watch the cats. And we stood there for quite a while, just kind of looking at the people walking by. And again, that mix of modern and ancient that you get in Rome was just very cool. So this tower actually leans a little bit. It's not quite as leany as the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but it was leany, and so that was kind of fun. My husband, I don't know if I have pictures in here, but he had been building wheelchair ramps as a service for some little old ladies that we go to church with. Oh, here it is. And so he has a level on his phone, and everywhere we went, he would try to mark the angle of the slopes to see if they would meet American Disabilities Act requirements of 5 degrees. And turns out, even in Italy, in these Roman ruins, you know, the modern part, they actually were. So, all right, so this was pretty much the end of our day in Rome. Another kitty, another side view of the wedding cake. And this was cool. This was a statue that that doesn't exist anymore. Sorry, my page protectors are a little wrinkly. The statue doesn't exist anymore, but pieces of it do. And this is the knuckle of the hand of this statue compared to my hand. So you can imagine how giant this this statue would have been. And it's too bad that we don't, you know, they don't have some of these beautiful things that are lost. Okay, so this is volume 1.
All right,
and I'm going to go ahead and add in volume 2.
Add in volume 2 as part of the same video, but this video is plenty long, so volume 2 is going to be separate. I'll post that in a day or two. Thanks so much for watching my video, and I'll see you back again soon.